I got out of high school in 1940 here in Lindsborg, and I went 1 year to college at Bethany. And then the next spring, a friend of mine went out to California and worked consolidated. Well, then I hadn't been out there very long, so I got my call to the draft. So I came back, and they put me in 4F, and they said I had a heart murmur. So I come back here to Lindsborg and went to Dr. Holward, and he said, well, if I live to be 100. So I thought, well, I'll try to join the Air Corps or the Navy. And as soon as I told them my draft classification was 4F, they wouldn't even talk to me.
Yeah.
Well, then I went to work at Boy in Wichita. Then worked there for about 6 months. Called again. And nothing was ever said. Because he said needing people, more. So that's how it was drafted. Yeah.
All right. Why did you pick the service branch?
I didn't pick it.
Oh, you
I was drafted as what I put in.
You were drafted for. Let's see. Do you recall your first days in service?
Well, not really. I just can't remember. I guess I just kind of getting used to, living in barracks and stuff like that.
Do you have any boot camp or training experiences?
Oh yeah, we had about 3 months of pretty intensive training. Done a lot of marching and calisthenics, and then we went out on the rifle range a lot. And, that lasted, I guess, probably for 4 or 5 months. I'm not sure. And I was put into the 14th Armored Division, I got a book yard, and it was just being activated. And so I got in that when we just getting started. And when we got through with basic thing, we'd been on marches every Saturday morning. We were on march up to we got up to 25 miles. So we come back in that 25 mile an hour, 25 mile march. Called us out one day, or the next day, or that day, I'm not sure. And they said, who can run a typewriter? Boy, I thought that sounded pretty good after all that marching, so I volunteered that. And then I was putting battery clerk then, so I made all the papers and stuff like that.
All right. Do you remember any important instructors that really just stood out in your training or anything?
Yeah, we had a couple. I can't just say for sure, but they kind of impressed me, the instructors.
All right. What was your motivation to get through training and the war and whatnot?
Well, I guess I knew that we had to end the war, and I thought, well, the sooner the better. And anything special besides that.
Which war did you serve in?
World War II.
World War II.
Yeah.
All right. Where exactly did you go?
Okay. We took our basic training at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, and then we went from there to winter maneuvers in Tennessee. And it rained and it snowed and we lived in tents. It was a rough winter.
I can imagine.
And then we came in from there and went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And we stayed there for advanced training then for another year. And then we went to Camp Shanks, New York, and shipped out from there. And we went on the Liberty ship, Sea Robin, it was called, and it took 14 days to go over. And we were the first division that landed in Marseille, France. All the rest of them had gone to England and couldn't come across the channel. We were the first ones. And it was pretty well shot up. Boy, oh boy, what are we getting into? And then of course, went up to France and into Germany.
So did you see a lot of combat?
Mm-hmm. So quite a bit. I was in the artillery. The artillery, I don't know if you know what the artillery's like, but they have big guns mounted on 105 millimeter mounted on tanks. And of course they would shoot further out, you know. So we weren't as close as the infantry was. But we got a lot of strafing from air, you know, and they were trying to strafe us to not knock us out. So.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
A few, and one especially, a fellow that I bunked with in basic training was being strafed. He ran out to get something and got killed. And that really made an impression on me. In fact, I couldn't even talk about it for a long time. I'm getting out. I can now. But, and he was the type of guy that his bunk was always neat, and of course he made sure mine was too. So he passed all the inspections and stuff like that. So that really impressed me.
Do you have any other memorable experiences?
Yeah. This was when the war was it was over. We was up in Dachau where the Jews were annihilated. I saw the ovens where they were.
Oh yeah.
That was quite an experience too.
Okay. Were you ever a prisoner of war?
No.
No. All right. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Mm-hmm. And 2 battle stars.
All right. How did you get them?
Well, we were in the Battle of Bulge, in Germany.
All righty. Did you stay in touch with your family during?
Oh yes, we wrote letters all the time. They had what they called V-mail, and it was a form you had free mailing, you know.
Yeah.
I think they would somehow take a picture of it and send it.
Okay. During the war, what was the food like?
Well, not too good. we had a lot of C and K rations. The K rations were they come in a wax box.
Okay.
And it was awful tasting cracker in there, and there's some cigarettes, and a can of meat, and I think kind of fruit, but it wasn't good. But anyway, you got by with it. And the C rations, they were in a larger thing, so several of them had them at one time, you know. But then when we could, we had our own kitchen, you know. And so I served them that way.
All right. Did you have plenty of supplies to work with?
Mm-hmm. I think so. I was in service battalion in artillery, and they took care of the supplies. So we had good supplies.
Did you feel any pressure or stress?
Well, I suppose I did. I don't think it bothered me too much.
Was there something special you did for good luck?
Prayed a lot.
That helps. How did the people entertain themselves?
You mean the soldiers, CGI? Oh, we played cards and stuff like that.
All right.
We had a chance.
Did you have much of a chance?
Sometimes, but not too much.
What did you do when you're on leave?
Okay, I've got a leave to go to Paris for a weekend. Boy, oh boy, this will be great. You go in, take a shower, you know, and really clean up and feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Went in there and they had no heat, no water, no lights. So it wasn't very much fun. But we saw some sights in Paris. But as far as it wasn't very comfortable in being in town.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events?
humor enough. We had our first sergeant and some of the others. They got drunk one night and went up and got behind the enemy lines and got caught. They got away. I don't know how they did it, but anyway, they got away. If they were sober, I don't think they would have. But anyway, they did. That was kind of comical.
Did you pull any pranks with, like, your bedmates or people in your different?
I don't remember anything like that.
In the censor, you have photographs, right?
Well, I got some here in Germany, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Well, then I've got one of our whole battalion here too. That's me right there.
All right. Okie dokie. Okay, cool. Do you know which week it is? Alright, what did you think of your officers, fellow soldiers?
For the most part, they were great. I mean, they were in the same boat I was. They were there in the war, and get over it.
Did you keep a journal or a diary?
No, I didn't. I wish to live.
Do you recall the day your service ended?
Mm-hmm. Purdue. We, when the war was over, I had a chance to either stay in Germany in the Army of Occupation or go home for 45 days and then go to the South Pacific. Well, it was pretty nice in Germany then, but I thought that I wanted to come home. And so I came on home. And during the time I was home for 45 days, the war ended in the South Pacific. So I got an earlier discharge. I was the only one that stayed for that. And then we came back, and we came back to Camp Milestange, New York. Got my 45-day furlough. And then when I was well, I guess I'm getting ahead of your questions too. But during the time I came home, and then I went back to Camp William and got my discharge.
Okay.
Camp in Texas.
Okay. What did you do in the days and weeks afterward?
You mean after I got out of the service?
Yeah, after your discharge.
Okay. Well, during my 45-day furlough, my wife was teaching school out at Western Kansas. And so I didn't have nothing to do. And then she couldn't leave up here or anything. I stayed here for all the time with her. And her dad was working for a gas company. And he said, but they were sure needing help there. So I actually went to work rather than my furlough. And when I went back, I intended to go back to school. But I came back and I got my job back. And so I went to work. I thought, well, I'd work till the next fall, next school. Well, it didn't work out. I thought I had a good job. And so I just stayed with it. It's been for 17 years.
Was your education supported by the GI though?
No, I didn't.
All right.
If I'd gone to school, it would have been.
All right. Did you make any close friends while you were in the service?
Oh, yeah. Several. Well, and one especially I keep in touch with. He lives in Arizona. And we had been going to Arizona some in the winter, and we lived from then. We was there.
You're still in touch with him?
Oh, yeah. All each other, so we were all right,
Did you join a veterans organization?
Yes, belonged to the American Legion.
Okay. What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
Well, I was the office manager for this gas company for 17 years.
Yeah.
Then after that, I went into the insurance business. Insurance, so I retired in 1987.
Okay. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
Yeah, I suppose it did, yeah.
Okay. With the American Legion, what kinds of activities do they have?
Okay, we have new flags at the cemetery on Memorial Day, and we sponsor a Little League baseball team, and we have potluck dinner for the American Legion and the auxiliary, and we meet once a month and have a meal and get together.
So you attend a lot of reunions?
Yeah, I've gone to several. The last one I went to was in South Dakota, but I didn't go this year because it was away from Washington, state of Washington. But I suppose half a dozen.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Well, I think it made me more conscious that we do need a strong military. And I think it's gave me respect for life, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to go through it again.
Hardly anybody would. Well, we're just about ready to wrap this up. Is there anything you'd like to add that we haven't covered? Anything you want to say?
No, but I am glad that I did serve. I thought, you know, first when it was put before heaven, I thought, boy, almost all my buddies were going in the service, and here I couldn't go. I thought maybe I had a bad health problem, but when I went to the doctor, and he assured me that it was all right. I didn't feel a lot better about it, and I was glad I was called again, and it did go in.
Yeah.